Hello everyone. Welcome back to the stream. Today we're back on the Mon Ultimate, and we're here for the second round of RCI's Multi-Sprint Series. We're at Portimao this evening, back again in the Aston GT3, alongside those pesky hypercars that give us quite a bit of trouble last week. We are just waiting on the server code. There we go. So just as I start streaming, it's just started to choke. But yes, Portimao, one of the more technical tracks on LMU, which is a bit worrisome given the issues we had last week with um, the hypercars. Hopefully, isn't going to be much worse this evening. As with last week, we are about to start practice. We're just joining server for 20 minutes of practice. Then we have a 10-minute qualifying session before a 10-minute break, or by 15-minute break really, before we get into the 80-minute race. So, welcome. Just in for practice. I'm just running the LMU setup. So I am. Just because I've had sort of mixed experiences with the CDA setups as of late. So yeah, just thought, you know what, let's just run the CDA, the LMU one. Bit warmer here at Portimao. Ambient temperature of 30 degrees. That should make it a bit easier to get the tires up to temperature. Gotta be careful with this double right. You can see the rear end coming around a bit on the cool tires. If you're not careful, it can still snap out from under you when the tires are up to temperature. BMW going for a low fuel run, interestingly. Of course, track limits. This is another track where we're going to have to be careful with them. It's a first time lap. A little bit further off. Really where I'd like to be. Finding a little bit of time, but not as much time as I would like to be. the mid-44s now at the front. Now that is a low fuel time. In fairness. Car just started to over-rotate there. Fuel ratio seems a little bit high at the moment, but we'll see how that is after a few more laps. Start back up in, understeer in the front left. Just getting a bit hot. Obviously wearing off the best of it. That's a better final corner. But overall wasn't a great final sector. We've got about 3 more laps. Before we're going to want to practice our pit entry. sure if running narrower into the right-hander there is better, or if I should be going back out wide as it was earlier on in the stint. I must be very close on that white line on the exit. Or just slightly over it, because I don't feel like I'm over it. So now a little bit of time in the lap. So we do. We're stepping out there for a moment. Through the double right-hander, 7 and 8. I'm not going to get one more lap in. More important practice pit entry. That was very safe. I can definitely push that more in the race itself. May get another practice attempt in qualifying. Yeah, I have a feeling it's going to be... yeah, well, it's Portimao. Warmer temperatures, it's probably going to be best not to run too long. Oh, I need to just see. The fuel usage was 3.46. Okay, we'll probably just say 3.45. When it comes to doing the calculated math, in my head, if I'm doing just math in my head, I'll probably use 3.5. It's a little bit simpler, less likely to go wrong. Expecting to have 27 today. A few people not running laps in quali. How many laps? I'm going to fill up for 5 laps. I think 5 laps will be the... maybe not the ideal. You probably want to do 4 laps. but I'm going to go 5 just to give myself that little bit of leeway. Also go wait just a little bit. As you can see, there's going to be quite a queue at pit exit with the other GT3s, so there's no rush. Obviously, we don't want to have any spins in qualifying, as that will hurt the tyres, and can't really afford to use new tyres in qualifying. And it's probably a good time to head out, remembering that we've got to get all the way down to pit exit. Of course, running a 5th lap of fuel also means that we, even if we're 5th lap isn't quick, we can use it to practice pit entry. Seems like people have fueled up for 6 or maybe even 7 laps at the front. So then first flying lap, it's not likely to be representative, but it'll be good to get a banker lap on the board, especially with the invalidations we had in practice. T1 try and carry the momentum. Without getting track limit a little bit deep. No, not carrying good minimum speed through turn 4. Or turn 3, sorry. Through turn 4, easy flat out if you've got the line right. Hang down to turn 5, braking in about 100 meter board on the far right fence. ABS certainly makes that braking so much easier than it is in the prototypes. Flat out through 6 into turn 7, down 1 gear. Lead the car through, don't run too wide on the curb. Try not to lose rear end too as you turn in for turn 8. Tricky traction zones, especially in the prototypes. The car can easily get unsettled and spin around. Very common mistake. You'll see, flat out through 10. Keep it to the left, open up. Turn 10 and 11. Get flat out through 12. Setting yourself up for turn 13. Long left-hander. And then very awkward penultimate corner, turn 14 off camber. Corner just carries on. You want to pick up throttle, start accelerating out. And then into the final corner, not quite flat out. In the Aston, at least not yet. Maybe on an ideal quali that might be able to get flat out through there. As first time on board, 47.2. Remember, is only banker lap. Should be able to find pace as the tyres continue to come into temperature. A little better into turn 4. They do sacrifice a little bit of speed out. Having the tyres a little bit warmer. Don't scrub as much through turn 4. A little bit of sliding on the exit of 7. But 9/10 up now. Into the 43s at the front. So then 1.5 seconds up. Our lap put us P7 at the moment. I have to imagine that most people will be able to find a bit more time. So we'll have to try and find some ourselves. 10th up in Sector 1. Nearly a quarter of a second up. Car just feels like it wants to understeer through turn 11. A little bit wide, 312. Lost a little bit of time in the final sector so far. It's only going to be about a 10th gained in the end. Final lap of qualifying for us. Lost over a 10th in the first sector. I feel the front left tire might be a little too dead to improve. I've brought back to level through turns 7 and 8, just carrying a bit more speed through 7. Final sector, can we find any time? find another 10th. It's not going to get us a position as we've been dropped to P9. But maybe it might just help us stay in. Hold on to that 9th place. Third driver's not saying a time, so it looks like there might only be 11 GT3s here. Yeah, not too far off a few for the cars in front. Well, just over a 10th to car ahead, 2 tenths then. Car in 7th. Again, we're not too far off, but yeah, just a little bit further back than I would have liked. Yeah, it is a little bit empty. There's meant to be 13 hypercars. It looks like maybe a couple of them haven't turned up either. Someone going for hard tires. Interesting. Just going to do math to work out how many laps we'll get. So we're looking at 46, maybe 47 laps. We can go 29 laps in a stint, so that'd be 18 laps of fuel needed in second stint. That'll be 62%. You've withdrawn series, got some issues with your brakes spiking to 100%. Random points. Yeah. Yeah, if you were in GT3s, you'd be able to maybe get away with that with the ABS, but not any of the prototypes. They can be tricky enough as it is when you've got brakes working perfectly fine. But yeah, when you have issues, they're not going to be any good. Let's get the timing sectors up. Things a bit spread out at the moment. Let's see, where's his Alpine go? P6. Oh, it's different per car? That's odd. That's very odd. I thought that would have been more of a controller issue rather than a game issue that then varies per car. That's very wide from BMW. That would be improving. Aston was just as quick in Sector 1. A little bit slower in Sector 2 and Sector 3. Ferrari's got pretty close, so the BMW didn't improve last lap. And you change to your more used Xbox Elite. That's where it's coming from. Why'd you change controller? Theory that the vibration motor in the left side is more harsh impulsing, so that the trigger's getting some weird feedback. Maybe? I mean, everything is quite tightly put together on controllers, so theoretically there could be maybe some electromagnetic interference, but you'd hope they'd have you changed because it's more smooth in all aspects, apart from that one issue. Yeah, that's odd. Electromagnetic interference would be my best guess. GT's another produce. It's very nice. Just Hypercars. I guess maybe the hybrid system in the Hypercars also doesn't help. Yeah, so added complexity in their braking systems is making them more tried here and it's bad. Yeah, I mean, here there's quite a bit of trail braking between elevation, some longer corners. Once it grabs one small flat spot and that just compounds on the next bike, yeah, it's when you have any issue sort of with locking up, it's just a compounding issue. Not sure if we're going to see many more improvements this session. .94 front left, 96 all around. So yeah, from those 5 laps, the front left has seen 1.5 times more wear than any of the other tyres. So shows you just how sort of brutal it is around here. I don't think the Aston helps out much. I mentioned you're not doing Hypercars until the tyres are changed. Yeah, that's my thinking too. No point sort of going back and forth between 2 quite different tyre models when one is going to change to be more like the other soon enough anyway. Well, at least soon, hopefully. Yeah, unrestricted P2 is just so much fun. I mean, being lighter, a little bit more nimble you would expect to make them a bit more enjoyable, but then, yeah, the tyre model just being a lot more evolved than what the hypercars have um, from early on in this year and last year. Um, but yeah, as I said, with the Aston, I've did 2 races at Le Mans recently. Of course, the Aston race I did stream, and then I did race in McLaren I didn't stream. In the Aston race, we changed both front tires after the first stint, and left the used rears on. I was a little bit worried about the car balance, but it was completely fine, really. Um, in the McLaren, that absolutely would not have been an option because it wasn't wearing its front tires nearly as much as the Aston was, but the rear tires were being worn more than the Aston was. Um, so it's just straight, of course, engine position having a big influence in that. The Aston front-engined.
Teams and drivers go to the grid for a race start.
The McLaren mid-engined. But yeah, kind of after that, the Mon race actually leaves me kind of regretting the Aston a little bit. I feel like maybe I should have gone back to another mid-engined car, either the McLaren or the Chevy. There's one McLaren here. There's no Chevys. Quite a few BMWs, a few Porsches, a couple of Mustangs, Mercedes. Not the biggest amount of car variety, like maybe one Ferrari as well. Like maybe only half the GT3 grid's represented, which is a bit of a shame. There's not that much variety. Of course, being top split, do expect a bit more sort of bop tourist up and down the grid. Hypercars aren't much better against BMWs. Apart from the BMWs, it's fairly varied. You've got 2 Porsches, 2 Ferraris, an Alpine, a Caddy, an Aston, a Lamborghini. So outside the BMWs, it's not too bad there. Yeah, I mean, a cap per car would be nice to have a little bit more variety, force people into things they're not as comfortable with, but you also then have people that just see that and be like, all right, I'm not going to bother. They just wouldn't sign up. What, drive something else that isn't the slightly faster car compared to everything else? No, I don't want that. I just want the fastest thing and that's it. Even if the differences are, extremely small, I have to drive this one specific thing. What, take a challenge, drive something else, learn something else? No, not interested. It's like, that's just boring. Right, got new tires, got full fuel. Might as well put ourselves on the grid, and I should set the fuel for the pit stop. Aston generally seems unfavoured. I mean, when I used it in daily races in the daily races at Le Mans a little while ago, it certainly seemed quite fine. You know, I think the BMW was still like one of the stronger cars. It was a very common car in those daily races that I did, but I didn't, you know, I mean, when I checked, I was 26th on the leaderboard for that daily race. And it's like, I'm definitely by no means one of the best drivers on the grid. You know, I'm not no esports sweat.
Formation lap has started.
My. Getting going here for the race. Hopefully we can survive the opening lap amongst the GT3 field here. And then hopefully we can survive when the Hypercars catch us 10-15 minutes into the race. Waiting for the green.
Green flag, green flag.
Not the greatest start. One Hypercar's just not gone. Someone got spun around on the inside, and that has gifted us quite a few positions up to P5. That's quite unfortunate for some of the drivers there. You know, it just happened in front of them. Nothing they could really do to avoid it. Yeah, and those opening lap situations, you know, the instant could very easily happen either side of the track, and it's just kind of luck on what side you're on. So good start up to P5. We'll definitely not be holding on to this for the entirety of the race. Quarter point there. Again, was green and then turned yellow, which is a bit mean. If it was yellow to begin with, I would have lifted a bit more and tried to have got rid of it. But oh well. Porsche in front's gone spinning. That's P4. I made that very mistake when I was doing a little bit of practice for the thumbnail. Things are going to get quite interesting soon. Mustang is now starting to fall through the train. Which is good news for us. Hopefully it'll spread out the cars behind a little bit. So when they catch up to us, it'll be a case of, you know, one car at a time rather than one car going through and the next car trying to follow through and us just getting shuffled out. Very deep there. I have no reason to fight this Porsche. So as long as they make a good move, you know, just gotta let them through. But want to see a good move, not something desperate. They're looking for a good move, but they're not doing a very good job of setting a good move up. That was a big lunge. I knew they were going to make it, but there's no point in me defending it. Yeah, but it would be nice if they set up a good exit from turn 3, carried momentum through turn 4, and then used that to be close enough so that the lunge wasn't... It wasn't a big lunge. That just lost us time to the cars behind. I can only imagine we're going to struggle in the long run with the tire wear. So certainly enjoy the top 5 while I can. 446 at the front. Understeer starting to kick in. See, was able to clear that track warning since it started yellow. A little bit deep into turn 5. One of the annoying things with the Aston is on the dash, it gives you a fuel number per lap, which isn't the most helpful when you're pretty much always using virtual energy to calculate your stints and pit stops in LMU. 3.45. Yeah, that's what expecting. Here come the Hypercars. Just pulling over to left early to make it clear what our intentions are. Seems like the Hypercars are quite spread out already, which is making things much calmer. Sort of annoyingly for us, the Hypercars have split up the GT3s behind. And that has, you know, the Mustang was previously, before the Hypercars came around, you know, was being pressured by the BMW, was having to defend a bit, and it was costing them time. You know, and that's allowing us to just ever so slightly extend the gap. But since Hypercars have split them up... Also, I just noticed we're back into P4. Looks like that Porsche that previously overtook us was in that incident with the Hypercar that we've seen spun off. I thought I saw 2 cars there, but I thought it was 2 Hypercars. Didn't realize one of them was a GT. Yeah, so we're now being... On the downside, we're now being hunted down by the Mustang for P4. On the plus side, we now have a bigger gap to the BMW that was hunting and challenging the Mustang. Silver linings and all that. That BMW does seem to be saving a little bit of energy. I'd like to say one of the ways you can tell that I'm not that quick in this field is that I'm not fuel saving as things are. You know, I'm not lifting, I'm just running flat out, not short shifting. But have more energy than most of the field. So I'm just using less energy going fast. Hypercar coming out of the pits. A little bit annoying that they came out between us and the Mustang because, of course, they're not going to hold the Mustang up. And luckily, they'll not hold us up either. That Porsche is back up to P6. So they'll be catching us in a few laps and getting back past. Hopefully able to make a tidier move, let's say, than the first time. First move was clean, but it wasn't tidy. Cost us more time than we would have liked. Got a little bit wide there. I could tell when I hit the brakes, it just felt like the ABS kicked in more than usual. Oh, the understeer. Starting to get bad now. And this is where we're going to see the pace just drop off a little bit more, I think, compared to the other cars. Yeah, I can't defend against the Mustang, but think bigger picture here. You know, if I defend to the Mustang and lose time, you know, there's a fair chance the Mustang beats me anyway. So I would just lose time to other cars that I have a better chance of finishing ahead. You know, I might do some light defending that might not cost me too much time. But I don't think... I'm not going to do anything desperate. Apex in there somewhere. Only thing is, when the Mustang gets on our tail, that Porsche is not going to be far behind. Which... will make things a little bit more complicated. It could help us, but could also make things a little more risky. You know, because there's more of a chance we lose 2 positions at once and lose a lot more time from that exchange, rather than just if we have 2 moments where we don't lose any time getting passed by 1 car. I don't think there's too much I can do in terms of saving tires. Just the way the Aston gets this pace, it really hurts the tires. Yeah, I definitely think the tighter line is better there. You know, saving tires to that long right-hander, both cars going off track there behind us. You know, saving tires there, we just lose me pace all the way down this start-finish straight. Porsche's in front of the Mustang now. Maybe braked a little bit early there. You could tell it's quite tight because I wasn't able to carry momentum out of the corner. I also should have adjusted the fuel ratio after practice. I'm carrying about 2 liters of fuel I don't need. We're not close enough again. I've got Hypercars coming through again. Wasn't ideal, but could have been a lot worse. We still have over a second to the Mustang now. But the BMWs just behind them have closed in a bit. But they're still a few seconds back. If you're wondering, it's those BMWs behind that I'm looking as my main fight. As the cars I want to finish it in front of this race. Mustang running very deep into turn 3 behind. Of course, we've only had the top 3 of Hypercars come through so far. Still got most of the field to come, and they're on their way. That Aston had me a little bit worried, but that was a well set up move. And now to go try and do the really awkward thing of around the outside of the penultimate corner. Also got a question of, do we change tires at the pit stop? The rear end was sliding a little bit there. Mustang followed me in deep to the corner. We're not even 30 minutes into this race. Couple more hypercars on their way. Or that might be the last of them, actually. It looks like there's one more in the start-finish straight. That's just straggling behind a bit. Mustang's lost a lot of time. It's fallen back into the clutches of BMW. Hopefully they'll start fighting each other again. And we can see that gap open up. It's like it might even be a three-way fight, which might be good. Might cause the cars to lose even more time, because there's three of them getting involved. But if the two BMWs fight each other more, the Mustang might be allowed to just pull away again and not get involved. Now this was the hypercar that was involved in the incident with the Porsche that's in front of us at that previous corner. The race is looking more like a 45 lap race at the moment. Do you have to remember, it usually ticks up when the pit stops are made. Looks like one of the BMWs is fallen out of the battle behind. So if we don't change front left tire, it'll probably get down to about 50% at the end. Question is, if we change the front left, what other tire do we change? Do we change the front right as well? Or do we change the left, rear left to be safe? Remember, it's a quality used tire that we're putting on, not a brand new tire. So the sort of difference between the quote-unquote new tires and the quote-unquote used tires, or tires that we have on currently and don't change, will not be as big. Yeah, both cars behind are a little bit quicker at this stage of the race. Oh, that's BMW in the gravel. I wonder what happened to them. Looking at the minimap, I don't think it was Hypercar related. I think they just binned it by themselves. And that puts us back into 4th place. Starting to see some parallels with Wednesday's race. If you didn't see it, we were racing P3s at Paul Ricard. The Ginetta specifically I was in. Of course, just both the Ginetta and Paul Ricard only came out on Tuesday for LMU. And we were in a little bit of a similar situation to what we were this race. We weren't that quick, didn't have great pace. But we kept it clean, we didn't make mistakes, avoided incidents, and found ourselves in, it was P6 that race. And we were being hunted down by multiple cars. And we were like, right, we're going to lose P6 now. They made a mistake. A little bit later, right, now is the time we're going to lose it. Nope, another mistake or incident, whatever. Hypercars have caught up once more. Ooh, the fight for the lead is quite close. 3rd place, not too far behind either. And BMW and Mustang are starting to fight in the background. Oh, that understeer. I think I've got to take a risk and change the front tires. Now it looks like the BMW has gone in front of the Mustang and is now going to try and chase us down. I think that BMW is a little bit quicker than the Mustang, but just fell further back from the instant on the opening lap. Eight laps till we pit. It's looking like a 45 lap race. And the BMW that was in the top 3, but made a mistake at T4 not too long ago. They're up in front of the Mustang too. Mustang's fallen back a little bit from that. They're now over... Oh, the Mustang's back in front of that BMW. Looks like Hypercars mingling with those GT3 battles. Could be advantageous for us, but they might cause us issues here at T1. 2 cars here. The first one's going to be fine. The second one, it's close. They were just close enough to make a move. Did hold us up a little bit. The Aston is being patient and is probably regretting that decision right now, but nothing it can do. And the Mustang is back behind the other BMW. Lock up for the Hypercar in front as it caught up to one of the other Hypercars. Not being a great start to this lap. Hypercar's certainly getting in the way. And BMW has closed up, but here comes another Porsche. One of the Hypercars kicking up some gravel. BMW had a little slide coming out of turn 8. Not too far from the pit stop. 6 laps for us. It'll be a couple laps sooner for some of the cars behind us, though. A little bit deep. Through turn 3. Okay, not gonna fight this BMW too hard. Another hypercar coming. I'm going to take that one. Oh, that's 0.5. One more hypercar straggling behind, same as last time. I mean, theoretically, I could try and undercut, though when changing tires, you do have those cool tire outlaps. They're not necessarily beneficial. You know, undercutting doesn't necessarily get you track position. Two BMWs are going to fight into T1. I'm surprised this BMW that's right behind us hasn't gone for the undercut to get out of this fight. Because it's certainly losing them time. And they've swapped positions again. So yeah, this is great for me. It's just keeping me out of this fight. Yeah. I mean, it'll come down to, do any of them take tires? If they don't, they're going to come out in front of me. Even with the difference in VE. If they do, then who knows? And the BMWs have swapped around once more. For the BMW that is now behind me in 5th, with 10% V, might be going as long as I am. Another 3 laps. The one behind them is certainly only going 2 laps. A little bit deep. Trying to get rid of that track warning by lifting. And then gaining the time back under braking. Yeah, it'll partly depend on what tires people change. You know, me changing fronts is definitely going to be the worst for warm-up. But then hopefully will help me a little bit more pace-wise till the end of the race. Whereas only changing left-hand sides won't be as bad to begin with, but you don't get as much of the benefit pace-wise. Unless, of course, I struggle more with stability when I come out of the pits and get the tires up to temperature. You know, if the rears are struggling too much compared to the near fronts. That's always a possibility. Here comes another hypercar. Jumped off the curb slightly. BMW got bad exit out of 4. And now we're just holding them up. Mustang's pitted. BMW trying to stick its nose where it doesn't belong. Right, the BMW behind is pitting now. I think we have a certified hot lapper behind us. Yep, can run quick laps, but has to overtake someone that they could probably be a second quicker than a lap. Oh, just get me a penalty then, why don't you? Thank God I got that damage turned off, but I think that cost me a couple of seconds having to turn that damage off. For goodness sakes. And I didn't put the tire change on, so no tires. Well, you give me a speeding penalty, so I am not going to do you any favors. I believe we have 3 laps to take it. Annoying thing is, you know, look at where we've come out in comparison to everyone else. Where are you going, Porsche? Porsche. Why? I'm going to assume you're not going to take the racing line on the exit of this corner. You know, and drive into a gap that's totally going to disappear. Well, I might as well take this DT now. I braked at the same point as I braked last time. And I didn't even make the line there. I just hit the ABS. So I'm going to get another penalty for that now because I thought that would have been a fine braking point, but apparently not. Tires too worn. It could be the damage, to be fair, because now I have... Yeah, it also have to be the damage, because I have a fair bit of damage now. So probably braking there. Yeah, that crest also makes it difficult. Yeah, that's well done. You've just made things awkward for both of us. I'll admit I wasn't being very kind, but I don't think they deserved any kindness after that previous attempt at unlapping, or lapping. So. I will say, despite all that, we're still on the lead lap. So that is one positive to take away. That BMW's going defensive. Straight to the pit wall. Oh, unfortunately, ran into the back of them, had a small lockup. Rear end slid about a couple of times. I think that's just from the damage. Apex in there somewhere. Yeah, and that rear left struggling a bit more than it was previously. Thanks to the Porsche Hypercar. Didn't even give me a track warning there. Despite being the widest that I've been for the whole race so far at T1. $14 minutes to go. Now, there is a chance. I'm trying to work out, so the leaders of the Hypercar class are about to pass us. I'm trying to work out if they'll pass us once more. Before the end of the race. It's going to be close. I'm not too worried if the GT3 leader passes me or not. Seven laps to go. I think the leaders will catch and pass me again. Couple of big snaps from the rear end there. Yeah, I think that's what the 44.9 means. The 0.9 means that, yeah, the leaders are just going to pass me. Probably on what will become my final lap of the race. Which is a little bit annoying, as it does mean, you know, any penalties that get handed out, you know, we're not going to be close enough to take advantage of them. That was just a little awkward timing there. Had to turn in a bit late. Oh, you did the dumb thing of pulling in front of the GT3 car you're passing. Not something you should ever do, you know, right as you enter braking zone. Because all you do is you take her off the car, you know, off their front splitter. That means, you know, their stopping performance is going to decrease. You know, they're going to run deeper on the brakes. And if you put yourself right in front of them, well, yeah, they run deep on the brakes, they're going to run into you. I'll just let the Porsche go here. That Jota Porsche was literally turning into the Penske Porsche to try not get blocked in behind me. Bit naughty. But they lost the place anyway, which as far as I'm concerned, well and truly deserved. The leaders have just come out of turn 4. Yeah, they're definitely going to catch us. Yeah, there's the leader, 17 seconds behind us. That BMW's looking a bit slidey. That BMW's going very wide. Just leave the right-hand side there for that BMW. Fight for the lead. That second place was really risking it. And that will start the final lap for us then. So then right in the final corner, we will finish on the same lap as a couple of people that got passed by the leaders there at the end. But yeah, what could have been? Yeah, P4 was definitely possible there. I mean, this BMW that did finish P4, we were fairly close to on pace, but our race was a little bit cleaner. Like, you know, we'd opened up a decent gap to them. I can't remember exactly where we were when we came out of the pits in relation to them. But yeah. That's yeah, quite frustrating again to have two races in a row for the series just ruined by other people. Very close fight in the end. The Ferrari held it over the BMW. But yeah, disappointing race that one. It was going well, and then yeah, ruined for no reason. Coming into the pits. Nothing we can do about that. So yeah, that's going to do it for today's stream. We will be back next Friday for round 3 at Imola. Another track that, yeah, with how those first two races have gone, Imola doesn't have a lot of space, has a lot of sketchy spots when it comes to multi-class situations. So yeah, not looking forward to Imola now after that. Hopefully it'll be a bit more, it'll be a bit calmer, a bit more like how the first half of the race was. But yeah, as we've seen the last 2 weeks, it only takes one person to completely ruin your race. Yeah. So yeah, at this point, I might do some a couple of other bonus streams um, during the week. I've got a couple of ideas, some rally stuff might do, but yeah, well, those will be played by ear. See how we go. But yeah, thank you, Eddie, for watching along. Hope you enjoyed that. Thank you to those that were lurking to throughout the stream and or watching the VOD back. Hope you enjoyed. Until next week, have a good weekend. Have a good week next week. But yeah, take care. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye bye.